Hello, Alchemist. I'm Jazz, and welcome back to the Mystic's Mirror. I've decided to switch everything to pick a card, but I'm also going to do, I'm still going to mix in Black Mirror, um, tea leaves, and of course the wax readings. Also, our new advice deck, which is the Cosmic Gesture, my own deck that I created myself, has come in. So we will have, I don't have to use index cards anymore, right? I got them printed. So let's get started. Today's question is, what are you finally ready to hear? So basically, what truth have you been emotionally preparing yourself to accept? If you've already chosen your card, check the timestamps below. If not, I'm going to give you a closer look. We have Reward. Doorway number 2 is Torn. Oh, what a beautiful card. And doorway number 3 is Introspection. Choose your doorway, Alchemist, and let's begin the great work. Hello, doorway number 1. And what are you finally ready to hear? You chose Reward. Look at that. So we have a lion here. Lions, are on the Strength card. This woman kind of moving forward, kind of into this bright light, into this future, sort of like she's gone through the trials of strength and moving forward. Let's go ahead and see what's in your shadow today. I think that you're ready to hear so far that through all the struggles and everything, and right now Mercury is in retrograde, like a really serious retrograde with in Cancer, and it's just been a crazy time. So you are emotionally preparing to receive the reward that you know is coming to you. And that could be spiritually, physically, in love, in money, just whatever it is, because you've done the work. But a lot of times we do the work, but we still have pieces of us inside that feel like we don't deserve what we really deserve, right? We think we do, but part of us say, oh, what do I actually do if true love comes? I'll be exposed. I'll be seen for who I really am. And what if I am lacking? Or what if money comes to me and I don't know how to handle it because I haven't had that kind of abundance in my life before? Now, this is not to manifest shame, and this is not spiritual bypassing. It's just saying a lot of times changes come in our outer world once we're able to transmute what's inside. So let's look at your shadow. So yeah, there's a lot of underlying tumultuous emotions, and it has to do with your persona. So, and look, this is an ocean as well. If you look really close, and all this is coming out. So this is really interesting because, in this one, it looks like the ocean. It's a little rough, but it's not, crazy bad or anything. So that's the idea that there's so many invisible things under the surface that need to be worked through. And what it is it's all this people pleasing. It's all this masking. It's all this pretending everything's okay, but really underneath there's all this other stuff going on. And so in order to get to the point of achieving the thing you want to achieve, you're going to have to drop the persona. You're going to have to, obviously there are certain situations where we always have to wear masks, but this is saying that in your shadow is this idea that if someone sees your true face, you're going to get rejected and it's not going to be good enough. And that is absolutely not true, because you wouldn't be getting this reward card, right? This bright light ahead. All right, let's see what else the oracles have to say for you, and then we'll pull some tarot cards. The pearl veil. Look at that, this tumultuousness in contrast to her sitting peacefully in the water with this sort of protective, I get it like a protective spiritual energy here. A pearl is, as we know, comes from oysters, but it's like the agitation. It's the sand that gets in the oyster, and then the oyster builds the pearl, right? So you have something really painful or agitating that is transmuted into something beautiful. And all these parts of you inside, the ones that you always hide, they are beautiful and they are part of yourself. And instead of trying to dismember them, or even integrate them. Why not just accept your whole self? Doesn't mean we don't try to be better. We want to be our best selves, right? But we can actually delay being our best selves by being too obsessed with being our best selves, right? Because then we aren't focusing, because we get a fixed idea in our head of what it means to be our best self. And then there's no room for flexibility. There's no room for going with the flow of life, for letting those beautiful moments present themselves to you, right? Moon in detriment, cut your losses. I feel like with this one, having moon in detriment, cut your losses, exactly juxtaposed in this reading to reward. It shows that, you know, and with the idea of the pearl veil, that there's something that was painful and or something that you lost that will allow you to move towards this new energy. And that's really painful to hear, because it's so hard to let go of things that were really important to you. It's so hard to let go of things that meant a lot to you, that you maybe thought was going to be in your life forever. And then, but in order to reach your highest self, sometimes you have to let things go, right? And you have to trust the process and trust that, you know, there's a higher self, you, or higher energies, whatever you believe in, looking out for you. And I also like this juxtaposition, because, you know, I said it's because, like, you have this kind of rougher water and then you have this still water. Here too, this almost looks like these faces coming out, except this time it's like they're all different facets of the same instead of being so fractured, right? And here as well, the moon is always representing, as well as water, it represents your deeper emotions, the things in the hidden. So this is a huge kind of, and sometimes cutting your losses a lot of times is not just letting go of things, but saying, you know, not buying into the sunk cost fallacy. Because a lot of times, what do? We have invested a lot into a situation or something like that. And so we're really don't want to let go of it, because we're like, well, we already put so much into it. But sometimes you just have to say, you know what? It's going to sting, but I want to move forward. I want to live my best life. The witch shows her daughter the moon. Ooh. You are ready to hear that letting go is okay. That you can reclaim the magic in the world. That you can reclaim the magic in your life. And you're not going to get punished. And you deserve to feel that. You don't have to earn it. Right? You don't have to earn a reward. You just have to be alive to be worthy. And this is also a call to reconnect to nature, to yourself. And this is your inner child. Show your inner child the wonder of life, right? Let your inner child, don't shame and oppress your inner child, but give them a peaceful place. You know, we all have to reparent ourselves, you know, at some point in our lives if we want to be healthy and happy. 10 of Swords. Yeah, you know, you really had hit rock bottom. And that's why cutting your losses is such a painful thing. But you are transmuting in the sense of, like, you know, the star, this is the Magician, but the star here, analogous to the star card, which is the idea of, first of all, being your own light, being your own guide. But it's also the calmness after the Tower. And with the Magician, we're talking about transmutation in a really significant way. The balancing of the forces within you. And then we have 6 of Wands. Moving forward, even through all the difficulties, even through the losses. Basically, you're ready to hear that all of the things you went through were not for nothing. Because it can feel like that. Look at that. 2 of Cups and the Empress. You have so much positive energy here, but I can see that it came from a very painful place. And so with the 2 of Cups here, obviously that's the soulmate card, but I feel more like next to the Empress and 6 of Wands, I'm getting the feeling of, you finally learning, realizing how much maybe you didn't love yourself and how much you abandoned yourself over the years for other people or situations, ones that you did not need to, abandon yourself at all. I mean, you should never have a situation where you abandon yourself, but it's time for you to embrace being your own soulmate. That's what you need to hear. That you are the love of your life. That you sit on the throne. You keep getting off the throne and handing your power to other people, but you see that clearly now that did not work. That hurt you. And that the reward for all the work you've done is that self-love, is that self-acceptance. So let's go ahead and take a look at your advice cards with my own Cosmic Jester deck, which I love. I think it came out really beautifully. I only did 160 cards, because I have probably 500 or 600 that I've made and index cards, but these are rough though. They do not play around. So let's see what they have to say today. The cage called itself just the way things are. With that, I get the feeling of that there was a long period of time where you just thought, you know what, I'll just grit my teeth and bear it, because there's no other way, that you didn't see a way out before, because this a lot has to do with what's going on in your own head and how do you escape your own mind, right? You have to deal with it, and it can be incessantly, in your face, putting you in this loss and rock bottom energy. But you're seeing through that illusion now. You're ready to accept the fact that just the way things are is not an acceptable reason for you to stay stuck and be just a few feet away from grabbing your, what is meant for you. Have you considered that they don't have the capacity to understand you? That's part of the loss, isn't it, for you? The loss is that, for a lot of you, the loss is a person, whether it's a friend or a situationship or a partner or a family member. There's a feeling of, it's heaviness, but it's an acceptance that some people just aren't going to understand you, and some people aren't even going to try to understand you. With this one, I'm getting a feeling of like perhaps a family member that you've always strived to impress and help. And like I said, that won't resonate for everybody, but because this has such a tradition kind of feeling to it. So thank you so much for being here. Please leave your comments below about how this resonated for you and how this is moving in your life, and how you're transmuting this, how you're loving your inner child. And, I know that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to this. So keep loving yourself, keep practicing loving yourself, and I will see you next time. Hello, Alchemist, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 2. You chose torn. What are you finally ready to hear? What truth have you been emotionally preparing yourself to accept? We have torn. With this beautiful woman kind of in the clouds. She is the clouds, right? And she's holding the scales as if she is judgment herself. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of a heavier energy here. So what I'm feeling from this is that you have been torn between two decisions, and you deep down, you know what the answer is. I'm using these for shadow cards today. What's hidden in your shadow? You actually know you've been torn between these two things, but you keep talking yourself in circles around one or the other. Oh, you know which one is the right one for you, but it's not the easy one. So you keep kind of talking yourself in and out of what you need to do of this. So because you've been torn. So I guess with her being kind of like the Justice card, we'll use these Cosmic Jester cards for advice in a little bit. It's a reminder that if the choice, first of all, that certain choices we have to make in our life are unjust. It's not fair that you have to make certain choices or sacrifices, right? But also that choose the choice that brings balance to your life. You probably have a very strong sense of justice and, feel very deeply when you witness or are at the bad end of injustice. And so when you're reflecting on this choice, because I'm feeling that you have a choice, you're torn between two choices, think about which one aligns with your true values. Has there been a time in this situation where you have maybe given a little and then given a little more, and then suddenly, you're giving everything to this situation and really not getting anything back, but you keep justifying that? Path of moonlight. The moon is our hidden world, our shadow, our emotions. And we have this woman in it looks like a hot air balloon, but it's made of flowers. And she's getting pulled towards the moon. So once again, your inner emotions have been, intuitively which answer is the one that's right. But integrating that and following through with it is a different thing. So be gentle on yourself. The moonlight is not harsh. The moonlight doesn't burn you. The moonlight is gentle. So be gentle on yourself, because it takes time. It can take time to let go of things, or make decisions that are life-changing, or feel like they could become life-changing. So the gentleness, there's confusion with the moon, but there's also gentleness. Your shadow card. This one always reminds me of it, but but what it really is this is about like the stages of life, that things change, and fighting the change doesn't help. What helps is accepting each stage of your life as it comes, right? Not pushing it away, but also loving and healing your inner child. Even if you are 30 years old, 40, 70, 90, 3,000 years old, whatever it is, your inner child needs you. It's a shame that modern way that humans are raised makes it to where we have to cut off our inner child and repress it, instead of it being a normal part integrated in our life. I always say this, I was like, I don't know that having a shadow, as like Jungen says, which is basically the disowned parts of ourself. I don't know that that's a natural state. I think that's a consequence of the way people are raised. So I feel like if there was a healthy society, people wouldn't have shadow, because they'd be allowed to integrate their whole selves without getting shut down constantly when they're young, right? And that could be why you're so torn. You're torn because when you were growing up in your shadow bag, and also, look, 2 balloons there, in your shadow was a feeling that you couldn't trust your own judgment. And so therefore, even when it should be kind of an obvious answer, like maybe a situation is hurting you or isn't for your highest good, you still feel torn because you see all these other things. Your shadow has this huge fear of abandonment. Communicate, talk to the moon. Look at all this moon energy here. Being very clear. One of the things, if this is with a job, a person, whatever the situation is, first of all, be clear and communicate with yourself. Talk to the moon is saying, talk to your shadow. Talk to your shadow. Communicate with yourself. Make it, 95% of everything you think, do, say comes from your subconscious mind, right? So if you don't have a link where you're talking to yourself, talking to that part of yourself, Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate. So you'll feel like you're being thrown around by the winds of fate, like you're a balloon. But it also is saying, communicate in this situation for clarity. And if you don't get clarity, if you're still confused, then that's your answer. Confusion is a sign of misalignment. It can mean a lot of different things. It can mean that somebody is manipulative. It can mean that a situation is bad. But really, the reason is not as relevant as the fact that if you are confused, then maybe that's not the place for you, right? The comforts of friendship. Look at that. I feel like leaning in on friends, true friends, even if that true friend is online or that true friend is your own self or a cat or, as for me, it's a dog and a rabbit and also my sisters. But, you know, communicate with them about the struggle you're going through. Get their opinions on this situation. Now, you still get to make the choice. The choice is always yours, but sometimes having a third party can, looking like, especially an unbiased one. So if you have a therapist or, you know, a friend of a friend, or even do the thing where you do an exercise where you, you know, active imagination, where you picture yourself as a friend and that this is happening to somebody else and what you would recommend to them. The Lovers. For a lot of you, this is a romantic connection, but the Lovers is also about two choices and coming right under Torn. Four of Cups. You feel really unhappy with either choice. It feels like you're not getting the nourishment that you so need, and you don't feel like either choice is going to give you what you want. But remember, the choice that keeps you trapped is the choice that, the choice that is unjust towards you. You know, that's obviously the choice you need to let go. You know, that's not the choice you should make, right? I mean, obviously, this is your life. You do you. You know, everyone's responsible for their own spiritual path and their life and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, if you're not being nourished, or if you're torn between two decisions, and one of those, both decisions will hurt, but one of them is going to keep you feeling trapped, whereas one hurts for a while but then opens you up to new things, then, you know, you got choices to make. So here with the Seven of Wands and Ten of Wands, yeah, there's been such a heavy weight on you. When I pulled this pile and started it, that's what I felt. I felt a weight, like both choices feel impossible. And what you need to hear is that you already know. You've already used your judgment and made the decision, but you're having trouble integrating it, and you're having trouble. You feel like, oh, you know what? I can just willpower my way through anything. But look how big that burden has gotten. You've had to be defensive when that's not really who you are. So let's get a few advice cards here from my Cosmic Jester deck. I had these on index cards. I still have like 300 or 400 on index cards that I did. I only did 160 here. I'll print the rest for myself at some point, but it feels so good to have my own oracle deck sitting here. So let's go ahead and take a look at your advice cards. You're doing such a good job, though. These decisions, these choices that come up in our lives that we don't, because a lot of times these choices come up out of just life. Like we didn't do anything to have to make this choice. The choice was thrust upon us, right? The reflection in the mirror would like to be included in your compassion. Oh, I've been feeling that heaviness. You've got to love yourself. You've got to talk to yourself. You've got to give yourself the same grace. You give other people grace to the ends of the world, and yet when you look in the mirror, are you being that kind to yourself? The one person who's going to be there the day you're born, the day you die, is you. Don't you owe it to yourself to be kind? You're always there. You're always there. Radical compassion isn't the same as being a doormat. Yeah, that's what the reading has been saying, right? That there's this energy of giving, giving, giving. and that you want to make a decision that's right for you and better for you so you can release some of this load, but you're feeling very torn about it. So you are finally ready to hear and emotionally accept that you're going to make the decision, and you're going to make the right decision. Even though it's going to hurt either way, you're going to do the one that gives radical compassion to yourself. And you know, out of those 160 cards, there's a small amount that has the word compassion in it. So to pull 2 of these, it shows that you really have not been giving yourself the amount of grace and love that you really deserve. And with this reflection one, it wouldn't surprise me is when you look in the mirror, you don't see yourself clearly. And that's another reason why spending time with friends and having someone to reflect off of and remind you how beautiful you really are is also helpful. And look at this moon, moon, moon. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy emotions hidden here. All right, beloved alchemist, thank you for being here. Continue the great work, and I'll see you next time. Hello, alchemist, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 3. What are you finally ready to hear? So what truth have you been emotionally preparing yourself to accept? Because as we know, integration is a lot slower than knowledge a lot of times, right? So you chose introspection. So I feel like you've been on a very deep inner quest, right? And what you've discovered on that quest is something that is profoundly shocking, profoundly changing who you are and how you see the world. We have this woman here hugging a serpent. Obviously reminiscent of Lilith or Eve, right? The idea also of holding on to things that are hurting you, but also the idea of coming to peace with your shadow. So with those disowned parts of yourself. So I think you're ready to really integrate I think you've been doing a lot of shadow work, and we're going to pull your shadow card just now. Look at that. Yep. You've been doing a lot of shadow work, and it's coming to a point where you're coming to peace. So even if it still feels kind of tumultuous, I feel like you see and feel that all of this chaos and all that, it's coming to a close. You're coming to peace with your shadow, with your whole self. This is so powerful. You should be very proud of yourself, even though there is a somber energy to this. You know, the cosmos goes on. What is hidden in your shadow? You know what's hidden in your shadow? The entire universe. Your entire universe. Like your inner peace, your inner joy. The shadow often holds your greatest joys that you have disowned because people made you feel bad about it. And you need to be reminded that those parts are parts of you too, and deserve your love and respect. Doesn't mean you act on everything in your shadow, but there are good, bad, and ugly things in your shadow, right? You accept it all. Accept it all with no judgment. Only act on the things that are good for you and those around you. But what you will probably find is that your shadow is not nearly as dark as you thought. You're not nearly as a bad person as you thought you were. One of the things that happens in a kind of a narcissistic society, because narcissism is the inverse, right? So like good is bad and bad is good. So in a narcissistic home or in a narcissistic society, people without empathy will be praised, and people with empathy will be treated like they're crazy. In a narcissistic type society, people will be homeless and starving, and that'll be seen as okay because it's good for the bottom line money. But objectively, that's terrible when we know there's all sorts of food getting thrown away and things like that, right? And so during this introspective journey, you've had to come to terms with the fact that so many of the things about yourself that you were told were terrible, they weren't really terrible. It was the inverse situation, right? That they were just beautiful pieces of yourself that you had to push away. It's like I always say, you know, something like, say, you're a kid playing in the mud. That is an inherently neutral thing. but someone comes along and says, ew, that's gross. Suddenly playing in the mud becomes a bad thing. Or maybe you love to sing. That's a beautiful thing. But someone says, ew, you don't sing well. You could be the best opera singer in the world. Someone says that to you as a kid, you know, that's going to go right into your shadow. Moon, maybe. Intuition. Yeah, look at this. There's such a quiet peace to this reading. Like you've seen the things that I'm talking about, and you know that you're finally integrating and accepting it, following your intuition. Because you know the 13th aspect. So we're talking about monthly moon ceremony here, aspect. So for me, that feels like a very sacred, because that would be kind of analogous to like the new moon. I'm sorry, the blue moon, right? Because that's there being an extra moon. And the feeling is heightened magic, heightened awareness, feeling like you're finding flow because of the shadow work that you've been doing. So congratulations, that's a lot. The heart knows. Look at that. Intuition. The heart knows. Look. Yeah. She's blindfolded, but she already knows. Everything is clearer to her now than ever. Everything is becoming clear to you because of what you've went through. You know, you're probably the kind of person that people can't really hide stuff from anymore, but still can be very vulnerable to other people because of your empathy, right? So in the past, following your heart might have gotten you into some painful situations because you were blinded to the elements around it. But now that almost impulsive need to overgive from that flame and fire in your heart that felt pretty burnt out, right, is rekindling with intuition, so that you'll know when it's wise to give and when it's wise to hold your boundaries and hold your barriers, so that you don't get burnt out again, because that flame should not be given away. That flame should shine. You know, I think the Buddha or someone said, like, you know, you can light 1,000 candles from a single candle and not diminish or destroy the original flame. But before, you may have been giving away your candles when really you should just be shining. Hanged Man. Seeing things from a different perspective. By the way, this is I think it's called Shadow Fates. It's from an individual. I can't help it. I love cards and I love supporting individual tarot makers. So I got her Oracle and Tarot deck. They're absolutely beautiful. I'm not promoting it, you know, obviously, because I don't have any kind of sponsor or anything. I just like to promote things of people who do the work, you know, do the hard work and share their beautiful talent with the world. I love the art on tarot decks. I have way too many tarot and oracle decks, probably. I give them away a lot too, though. Okay. So yeah, you've been through it. So, you know, Inanna, the Queen of Heaven from Sumerian legend, she was going down into the underworld to confront her sister. And there were all these gateways she had to stop at. And at one gateway, they were like, give me your crown. And the next one, they were like, give me your jewelry, give me your breastplate, like as she went. And then when she finally got to the bottom, she was stripped bare. That's what I'm getting with this progression of Hanged Man, Fool, the world, and the devil. That feeling of being exposed, of coming to the end of a cycle, of taking a leap of faith into the unknown, because you intuitively know that this peaceful flow energy is coming to you after being trapped and stuck in this other energy of self-blame, of self-hatred, of feeling attacked. You are like, wait a minute, I'm not, you know, all those things are not as bad as I thought. I don't have to burn myself out. I don't have to hate myself. I can love myself. I am whole already. You can be whole and still a work in progress at the same time. 3 of Cups, embrace your friendships. 9 of Cups, defend your boundaries, okay? People need to earn closeness to your magnificence. You can give it away freely in the sense of be the bright star that shines the love, that shines all that. But don't give other people your power. And don't let other people too close to you till they earn their place. That's not saying earning love. It's saying earning a space that's close enough because when you get really close to people, you do hand them the keys to where they can hurt you, right? So you can't just be, in the past, you may have just been handing those keys out left and right because of the inversion of how you were taught as this devil energy. But yeah, lean on your friends and bubble your boundaries. Hold those boundaries. Keep those boundaries strong and let people prove that they deserve a front row seat to your magnificence. All right, this is my own deck that I finally got printed. It's 160 cards. I have like 500 of these or 600 of these on index cards, but oh, it makes me so happy to actually be able to hold them in my own hands. So let's get some advice for you from the Cosmic Jester. You know, Cosmic Jester is the kind of trickster energy. So it's about shining a mirror on the places that it's hard for you to see clearly. And sometimes it'll be kind of in a jest way. Do you miss them or your story about them? And joy isn't a privilege you earn after being productive enough. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of heavy shadow energy here, right? That's that inversion thing, right? That you have to earn your rest time, or that you have to earn there's even a feeling a lot that like no other creature pays to be here on earth, just humans. Why? Joy isn't a privilege. You do not have to prove that you belong here by doing things, because you know what? In this kind of inverse system that we've been talking about, it'll never be enough, no matter what you do. There's this great song by Aluka called Crucify Me, and one of the things she says is, while you're telling me what I shouldn't say when you're going to crucify me anyway. So what she's saying is, you're going to destroy me whether I'm myself or whether I do everything I can to conform. So I just as well be myself, because you're, you know, and that's what this is. They're going to try and make you feel like, and do you miss them or your story about them? You know, this is probably about a person. And, you know, for a lot of you, I'm getting a family member, because a lot of times when you do take a person out of your life, whether it's romantic or a friendship or whatever, you'll kind of erase the negative things, or you won't even associate the fact that maybe a lot of this stuff that in your shadow came from that, or the feeling of the productivity wound, which I feel like in a lot, if not the whole world, but much of the world, the productivity wound is really, really rampant, because the productivity wound says that you have to earn rest, that you're not good enough unless you produce the right amount. Except, like I said, there's never the right amount, right? There's never enough. It's just a big scam to get you to wear yourself out and waste your life and waste your time producing so that someone else can have a better life, right? And you deserve better than that, but you feel that already. In these readings, I never tell you anything you don't already know. I just clarify it. You were ready to hear this. You already knew it was rolling around in your head, and now it's clearer than ever, right? Don't hold on to illusions about the past, and explore this productivity wound. It might be the last step in fully accepting yourself wholly, because you are holy. You're whole and holy. All right, beloved alchemist, thank you for being here, and continue the great work. I'll see you next time.